It's for you to decide, whatever you like.
Well, I'm not going to go and buy all three of them. I mean, if that Photoshop, that's fine. But, you know,
That's the
I
question.
hear Corel draw does better blends. You know, I hear Photoshop is a little more difficult with blending, so I don't know.
Well, with this particular seminar, the main reason we have different programs is so you can kind of see what these guys are doing live and how they approach it. And if it's a good fit for you, then you have a little more peace of mind when it's time to make that purchase.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
What brush are you using?
This is a scratchboard tool. So you have to forgive me, I've got a little cold, so I'm trying to speak out over it. But this is the scratchboard tool. The thing about Corel painters is that there's a lot of tools. So if you open up the tool palettes here, you can see all the different, it goes from acrylics in alphabetical order all the way down to watercolors. And then each of those has plenty of other tool subdivisions. So there's literally hundreds of tools that you can use in the program.
You can pull those out on the palette of your tools, right?
Yes, so Corel Painter is also very customizable. So here, it's really small, I bet, up there. I don't know if you guys can see it, but right here, there's a group of the few tools that I use the most common. Usually I'll only use 3 or maybe 4 tools for a drawing, even though there's so many to choose from. So yeah, you can build your little tools palette here. And then also, Corel has a really interesting workflow panel where you see this like toggle temporal color palette. If I hit that, this little color palette pops up and I can make my choices, or I can change my brush size on screen so I get it where I want it. So that's one of the reasons why I like this program.
How are you changing the brush?
So see this little thing right here? It says brush size on screen. It's not showing all the letters, but if you hit, it's one of the items that you can find within the top here. You know, the brush commands. So if you use that, you get this little green circumference, and you can, whatever size you leave that at, that's going to be your tool size.
Do you just do that from dragging left to right to affect the size?
Yes, exactly. Left to right or up and down, and you can, if you pull in or out of the middle of the circle.
Are you using a similar canvas size as well, John, 4x6, that kind of standard thing?
That's what I use for every job, because that's the size paper that I buy to print out with. It's a pretty standard. Mhm.
Do you set up convention zoom, or do you have to?
Usually I'm working portrait mode, so the drawing size is actually quite large. I don't need to pinch and zoom, and I haven't made that part of my process to pinch and zoom while I'm working very often. But most of the artists that I've worked with and I've watched draw, they do pinch and zoom quite a bit. So that's just a personal choice.
What resolution is that?
The image is 4x6 at 300. Are you talking about the device or the?
No, it's a 300 DPI.
Yeah. This is that scratchboard tool. Yeah, so it goes from thick to thin lines, like anyone that's ever trained with a marker. You know, try to get those lines. Nolan's always talking about the dagger effect, so you know, as you pull off, you're going to get that, that sort of point.
And you just did a right click to go back, right?
I have on the stylus, there's 2 buttons that you can set as whatever you like. So for me, one of those is set as undo. It's right there on my finger.
If the other setting,
You know what? I don't think I even use the other one. I could probably, one thing that I found with my Cintiq, I think I got a bug or something, but it's constantly resetting what I set the tools to be. That's why I like this here, because this is within the program, it never changes. And then I'll change the buttons on the left, or the pen buttons quite often. Also one of the, what's that?
You use the radial menu?
And the radial menu I use on Manga Studio a lot.
Because that's what I use a lot. I use
See if the radial
the radial menu.
And these devices, Wacom incorporated a radial menu into.
I can pull it up.
into the actual PC, so there's actually additional shortcuts that you can use just by right-clicking, left-clicking.
Yeah, so one other thing I've been doing a lot recently is trying out new programs. So then I'll change what all of the hotkeys or pin buttons do depending on the program that I'm using. Like for the past few weeks I've been using Manga Studio as well, but I wanted to use something different than Salah so you guys could get a few different
And do you use a screen this size at your live events?
I wish.
Question regarding screen.
Yes.
If you are setting up in an event, is there a small screen that you can set up maybe about 8 feet high so people can see the work in progress?
We do that for every gig.
What do those things cost?
Just disconnect, John. What happened?
Something died over here.
I didn't
Most of us use an external monitor. Just a couple, $300.
No.
Does that happen
Like
at
Everything happens in gigs. I
use
like
that,
one
and
thing
then
that I
you
am
can
is I'm
have,
always
like,
like I never
some means
stress
of-
out when something breaks because something's always
like on
breaking.
a tripod.
So I just like, well, what could it be?
Well, monitors come with their own.
Remember that? Remember what I said about be prepared for anything and everything?
Is that common?
Yeah, unplugged.
If I do
These
that,
quirky moments when, does it
And
go out
provided by the client.
several times a night?
What's that?
Sort of thing that-
Are these kind of quirky moments common?
No.
No. What I don't, here's what I'm,
so it's in the
They come out of
this
syllables.
nothing changed here.
here's what I'm trying to ask you, is if you're working,
Try that one more time.
you're working a crowd, you're standing up, and people about 6 feet tall, and you want to have the screen about 8 feet up so that people can see it, you can see the work in progress, and then they get attracted to that, and then they come by and they can make money. So you have to have a screen, and the screen is just a computer monitor, right? So then all you need is just some means to fix the computer monitor
Yeah.
to a means of having it stand up
Yeah,
with a
you want
tripod
to do
or
whatever you can to
easel
get
or
through the
something.
job. So, I
So
mean,
this answers my
once you
question.
get yourself set up, you usually have
The first time,
backups for everything,
my answer
and
still
so you can
is,
continue on.
we mostly
No matter what
use
works.
monitors that have their own stand and work out.
I never use a projector. I do use a
And
TV at an event.
if you
I've
want it
never
to
had
be
that
8
die.
feet
I
high,
have had the
then
cable
that's
that connects to the TV just
the host
randomly
is going to
die.
have to do. We're not going to.
Who's with me?
We are.
Oh wait, it's getting
I
brighter.
don't know.
warming up?
Yeah, it's getting brighter. Okay. Keep doing your thing.
We're going to be a selling point.
All right.
There we go.
He asked you that question about
Let me touch
projecting
that mushroom.
8 feet high. remember? And then
So we bring the stuff later as well.
Yeah, usually I take 2 of every wire, and then there's definitely been times where I've jogged down to the closest electronics store. And I had 2 of those, 2 times where I had to do that in the past 4 years. So it's not too common, but I'm, prepared. I know on my phone, look for the closest electronics store, or Apple store or something.
Well, and one thing that, this is a very rare situation because, this is an environment where they're not using all their own materials. I mean, they're using their own companions and their own tripods, but this is a projector that was supplied by us. For every event they do, they bring their own monitor. And if someone does supply a monitor, they have a team available to fix that at any given moment.
What, they bring their team?
Well, no, yeah. When we do these trade shows, we're at booths that are occupied by 10, 15 people. And at least one of those people is someone that's set up the booth with the TV monitor and everything. So if something goes down, there's someone there that can fix it for us.
Okay.
So do you face the monitor towards the person you're drawing?
It depends on the space, but no, very rarely.
Away from them so other people?
Yeah, it's like a surprise, just like a park caricature or any other party caricature. You want to make it a surprise for your subject.
Yeah, that's fine.
So you guys notice that unlike Salah, I usually do a sketch underneath, and then I'll just delete that layer once I've finished with the drawing. I don't need it anymore. And then I can color on the layer where that used to be.
Why are there so many layers on this one? Just using that?
It's just a personal preference. Like, I definitely use more layers than Salah does. He's got a really simplified process, and I'm kind of envious of it. But, you know, I started doing this and just kind of built my own process up, and that's involved. I always just hit the button to add a bunch of layers because I'm deleting them, and you know, I have a layer on top that's important. I don't want that to get lost, so I'll just put a bunch of layers in between it as a buffer. It's definitely not the most concise way you can work. This is the digital watercolor tool.
Now, when he's applying more pressure, the colors go on darker.
What's
So,
Photoshop? I want to know if the Photoshop equivalent of watercolor brushes.
So that's why I don't use Photoshop. Even you were going to tell me that? Have you even got to hear that here?
Are you guys always doing color events, or do you ever do just black and white?
I've never done a black and white event
I've done one black and white event.
in 4 years, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of in line with pushing digital as being a premium option, is that they're full color. Otherwise, if they just want black and white, why not just do it on paper, you know?
You had mentioned with the hybrid, you can hook that to a regular computer, full PC, you also hook that to another computer?
Hook this to another computer?
Yeah.
No.
No, only they have that version that you can do that.
Oh, you do?
The other version of the Cintiq is for hooking it
The
up.
hybrid, yeah, the hybrid's for, yeah, that's pretty much the redeeming function of the hybrid, is that you can use it as like a 13-inch Cintiq to be connected to a computer. But with this one, there's really no reason to. It's its own computer, you know.
Do you find it slightly more challenging or about the same between the larger non-companion regular Cintiq? Small space.
Like the big Cintiqs or the small Cintiqs?
Well, you know, like a 21 device or just, you know, a regular size one.
You know, you gotta go to people to draw these. They're not coming to you, so I would never want to use one of those that size. So you'd have to cart that thing around, you know.
I actually have both. I have the 22-inch and the Cintiq Companion, and I've been using the Companion more for even commissions at home. I actually like the feel and the drawing feel of the Companion, so kind of have just an extra monitor now. So the Cintiq. Yeah.
I'm leery of using Microsoft things, and I'm wondering, you know, if you have something that you have to troubleshoot, how's that been? You have a lot of situations like that, you don't know what to do?
Yeah, Nolan's a PC guy, so he had no problems. I'm definitely a Mac person. So for me, I have to know enough to set this up and to install programs and then to project it. So there was definitely a learning curve there. But I utilize Dropbox on this, so I never do anything except for draw on this. Like I don't go on the internet on this. I don't check email, anything. I draw. And then once it's hooked up to a Wi-Fi, the drawings that I've done will go up into the Dropbox, and then I can access them from my Mac computers.
Okay, keep it simple.
I thought we were talking about drawing today. What's going on here?
Yeah, the black line drawing to me seems as if it would be an ink drawing with a brush where your palm is above the paper. You know, it's kind of loose.
Yeah, loose is kind of that's the one thing you guys should really retain from this entire seminar, is that when you do live events, you're not trying to make, you know, a commission piece that you would do in the privacy of your own home. You really do want to try to get to 10 an hour, because that's what makes you more marketable. So you have to stay loose. You just kind of have to go with it, you know? Keep in mind, you know, you're looking at this massive 6-foot tall drawing right here, but when it prints out, it's a 4x6 little, you know, teeny tiny masterpiece. So
I'm just adding things here. So
cool.
Are we done?
Yeah, yeah. Hey, let's hear it for Jon, guys. All right, so moving forward, we're going to bring Dexter in. Dexter's going to be the last of our artists that's utilizing a walk